Hey there. Let's talk about changing your life one small step at a time. Welcome, my friend. I'm so excited to share with you one of the most life-changing books I've ever come across, Atomic Habits by James Clear. If you've ever felt frustrated because you keep starting new habits but can't seem to stick with them, or if you've wondered why some people seem to effortlessly maintain healthy routines while you're still struggling, then you're in for a treat today. Here's the thing that blew my mind when I first read this book. You don't need to completely overhaul your entire life to see amazing results. In fact, trying to make massive changes is often why we fail. James Clear shows us something incredible, that tiny, almost insignificant changes, when done consistently, can transform your life in ways you never imagined. Picture this. If you could get just 1% better every single day for a year, by the end of that year you'd be 37 times better than when you started. Isn't that incredible? We're not talking about dramatic, exhausting changes here. We're talking about small tweaks that feel almost effortless but compound into extraordinary results over time. You know what I love most about this approach? It takes the pressure off. You don't have to be perfect, you don't have to completely reinvent yourself overnight, and you definitely don't have to rely on willpower alone. Instead, you get to work with your brain's natural tendencies and create systems that make success almost inevitable. The amazing story that started it all. Let me tell you James Clear's personal story because it's absolutely inspiring and shows you exactly what's possible. When James was in high school, he was a promising baseball player with big dreams. Then, disaster struck. During a game, he got hit in the face with a baseball bat, and I mean really hit. We're talking about a life-threatening injury that left him in a coma and changed everything. The amazing story that started it all. Let me tell you James Clear's personal story because it's absolutely inspiring and shows you exactly what's possible. When James was in high school, he was a promising baseball player with big dreams. Then, disaster struck. During a game, he got hit in the face with a baseball bat, and I mean really hit. We're talking about a life-threatening injury that left him in a coma and changed everything. Most people would have given up on their athletic dreams after something like that. But James discovered something powerful. Small, consistent improvements could lead to remarkable comebacks. He didn't try to become a superstar overnight. Instead, he focused on getting a tiny bit better each day, improving his swing by just a fraction, building his strength little by little, refining his mental game step by step. The results? Not only did he recover completely, but he went on to become an All-American athlete in college. But here's the kicker, this wasn't just about baseball. The principles he discovered transformed every area of his life, and now they can transform yours too. This experience taught James what he calls the aggregation of marginal gains. Think of it like compound interest for your personal growth. Just like your money grows exponentially when you consistently invest small amounts, your habits compound over time to create massive positive changes in your life. Here's why your previous attempts at change might have failed. Now, let's get real for a moment. Have you ever started a new habit with tons of enthusiasm, only to find yourself back to your old ways a few weeks later? If you're nodding your head right now, don't worry. You're definitely not alone, and more importantly, it's not your fault. The problem isn't that you lack willpower or motivation. The problem is that you've been focusing on the wrong thing. Most of us focus on our goals. I want to lose 20 pounds. I want to write a book. I want to get organized. But James Clear discovered something fascinating. We don't rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our systems. Let me explain what this means with a simple example. Imagine two people who both want to get fit. Person A sets a goal to lose 20 pounds and starts going to the gym sporadically when they feel motivated. Person B forgets about the specific weight loss number and instead focuses on building a system. They create a routine where they put on their workout clothes immediately after brushing their teeth each morning, pack their gym bag the night before, and choose a gym that's on their way to work. Who do you think is more likely to succeed? Person B, right? Because they've built a system that makes success almost inevitable, regardless of how motivated they feel on any given day. There's another crucial concept here called the plateau of latent potential. This is probably why you've given up on habits in the past, and understanding it will change everything for you. Imagine an ice cube sitting in a slowly warming room. The temperature goes from 25 degrees to 26, then 27, then 28 degrees Fahrenheit. Nothing happens to the ice, it just sits there, seemingly unchanged. But then, at 32 degrees, something magical occurs. The ice begins to melt. Your habits work exactly the same way. You might work out for weeks without seeing dramatic changes in the mirror. You might practice a skill for months without feeling like you're making progress. But all that work isn't wasted. It's building up to your breakthrough moment. The key is to trust the process and keep going, even when you can't see immediate results. The life-changing secret about identity and habits. Now, here's where things get really exciting, and this might just be the most important thing you learn today. There are 3 levels of change that most people try to work with. The first level is outcome change. This is what you want to achieve, like losing weight or making more money. The second level is process change. This is what you do, like going to the gym or starting a side business. But there's a third level that most people completely ignore, and it's the most powerful one. Identity change. This is about what you believe about yourself, and it's the secret sauce that makes habits stick for life. Here's what I mean. Instead of saying, I want to run a marathon, outcome, or I'm going to run every day, process, you say, I am a runner, identity. Do you feel the difference? When you see yourself as a runner, going for a run isn't something you have to force yourself to do. It's just what runners do, and you're a runner. Every single action you take is like casting a vote for the type of person you want to become. When you make your bed, you're voting to be an organized person. When you choose a healthy snack, you're voting to be a healthy person. When you write a single paragraph, you're voting to be a writer. The more votes you cast for a particular identity, the stronger that identity becomes. And here's the beautiful part. Once you truly believe you're that type of person, maintaining the habits becomes natural. You don't have to rely on motivation anymore because the behavior aligns with who you are. You're not trying to change, you're just being yourself. The goal isn't to read a book. It's to become a reader. The goal isn't to learn an instrument. It's to become a musician. The goal isn't to run once. It's to become someone who runs. This shift in thinking is absolutely revolutionary. The 4 simple laws that will change everything. Alright, now let's dive into the practical stuff. The 4 laws that will help you build habits that actually stick. James Clear discovered that every habit follows a simple loop with 4 stages, and he created 4 corresponding laws that make building good habits almost effortless. The habit loop works like this. There's a cue that triggers a craving, which motivates a response, which provides a reward. That reward satisfies the craving and gets associated with the cue, creating a feedback loop that makes the habit automatic. The 4 laws of behavior change correspond to these 4 stages. Law 1, make it obvious. This is all about the cue. You want to make the triggers for your good habits as clear and visible as possible. Law 2, make it attractive. This relates to craving. You want to make your habits appealing so you actually want to do them. Law 3, make it easy. This is about the response. You want to reduce any friction that might stop you from following through. Law 4, make it satisfying. This is about the reward. You want to make sure your habits feel good so you'll want to repeat them. When you apply all 4 laws together, you create habits that are almost impossible to ignore and incredibly satisfying to maintain. Let me show you exactly how to use each one. Law 1. Make it obvious, bringing your habits into the light. The first law is all about awareness and visibility. You know how sometimes you'll realize you've been mindlessly scrolling through your phone for 30 minutes without even noticing? That's because so many of our behaviors happen automatically, below the level of conscious awareness. To build better habits, we need to shine a light on what we're currently doing. James Clear suggests something called a habit scorecard. It's super simple but incredibly eye-opening. Just write down everything you do in a typical day, from the moment you wake up until you go to bed. Then, next to each habit, write a plus sign if it's a positive habit, a minus sign if it's negative, or an equals sign if it's neutral. Don't judge yourself during this process, just observe. You might be surprised by what you discover. Maybe you realize you check your phone first thing in the morning, which sets a scattered tone for your day. Or maybe you notice you always grab a healthy snack when you're stressed, which is awesome and worth celebrating. Once you're aware of your current patterns, you can start designing new ones using what James calls implementation intentions. Instead of making vague commitments like, I'll exercise more, you get specific. I will walk for 20 minutes at 7 a.m. in my neighborhood. Research shows that people who create these specific plans are 2 to 3 times more likely to follow through. But here's an even cooler strategy called habit stacking. You take a habit you already do consistently and stack your new habit right on top of it. The formula is simple. After I current habit, I will new habit. For example, after I sit down with my morning coffee, I will write 3 things I'm grateful for. Or, after I put on my pajamas, I will prepare my clothes for tomorrow. This works because you're leveraging the strength of habits you've already built. Your morning coffee routine is already automatic, so piggybacking on it makes your new habit much more likely to stick. And let's talk about your environment for a second, because this is huge. Your environment is like an invisible hand that's constantly shaping your behavior. If you want to eat healthier, put fruits and vegetables at eye level in your fridge and hide the junk food. If you want to read more, place books throughout your house and put your phone in another room. If you want to exercise in the morning, lay out your workout clothes the night before. The key is to design your environment so that good habits are obvious and bad habits are hidden. Make the cues for your desired behaviors impossible to miss. Law 2. Make it attractive. Fall in love with your habits. The second law is about making your habits irresistible, and this is where things get really fun. You know that feeling when you're really craving something, maybe your favorite dessert or that new episode of a show you're binge watching? That craving is driven by a chemical called dopamine, and understanding how it works is going to be a game changer for your habits. Here's something that might surprise you. Dopamine isn't actually released when we experience pleasure. It's released when we anticipate it. It's the anticipation that drives our behavior, not the reward itself. This is why you can get so excited thinking about vacation that the actual vacation doesn't quite live up to the hype. But we can use this to our advantage. One of the coolest strategies is called temptation bundling. You pair something you want to do with something you need to do. For example, maybe you only listen to your favorite podcast while doing household chores, or you only watch your favorite TV show while exercising on the treadmill. I had a friend who wanted to start flossing regularly but kept forgetting. So she decided she could only listen to her favorite true crime podcast while flossing. Within a week, she was actually looking forward to flossing because she was excited to hear what happened next in her show. Genius, right? Another powerful way to make habits attractive is to surround yourself with people who already have the habits you want. We naturally tend to adopt the behaviors of the people around us. If you want to get fit, spend time with people who prioritize fitness. If you want to read more, join a book club. If you want to eat healthier, find friends who enjoy cooking nutritious meals. You can also make habits more attractive by focusing on the benefits rather than the drawbacks. Instead of thinking, I have to wake up early, try, I get to have peaceful morning time before the world gets busy. Instead of, I have to exercise, try, I get to build strength and energy for my day. These small mental shifts can make a huge difference in how you feel about your habits. Law 3. Make it easy. Remove the roadblocks to success. This third law is where most people get it wrong, and once you understand it, you'll see why so many of your previous attempts at change might have failed. We tend to think that if something isn't challenging, it's not worth doing. But when it comes to building habits, easy is exactly what you want. There's something called the law of least effort, which basically means that humans naturally choose the path that requires the least amount of work. Instead of fighting this tendency, we can use it to our advantage by making good habits incredibly easy and bad habits more difficult. Here's one of my favorite strategies from the book, the 2-minute rule. When you're starting a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to complete. Want to start reading more? Don't commit to reading for an hour, commit to reading 1 page. Want to start exercising? Don't plan to go to the gym for an hour. Commit to putting on your workout clothes. Want to start meditating? Don't aim for 20 minutes. Start with taking 3 deep breaths. Now, you might be thinking, but what's the point of reading just 1 page? Here's the thing. The goal isn't to stay at 1 page forever. The goal is to master the habit of showing up. Once you've established the routine of reading every day, even if it's just 1 page, you'll naturally find yourself reading more. But first, you need to prove to yourself that you're the type of person who reads daily. I love how James puts it. A habit must be established before it can be improved. You want to standardize before you optimize. Make it automatic before you make it perfect. Another way to make habits easy is through what's called environment design. This is about reducing the friction for good habits and increasing the friction for bad habits. If you want to eat healthier, prep your vegetables right after grocery shopping so they're ready to grab. If you want to watch less TV, unplug it after each use so you have to make a conscious decision to plug it back in. You can also use technology to automate good habits. Set up automatic transfers to your savings account. Use apps that block distracting websites during work hours. Create calendar reminders for important tasks. The more you can automate, the less you have to rely on motivation and willpower. Law 4. Make it satisfying, the key to sticking with it. The fourth law is crucial because it addresses one of the biggest challenges with building good habits. Most of them don't feel immediately rewarding. When you eat a salad, you don't immediately feel healthier. When you exercise once, you don't immediately see results. When you save money, you don't immediately feel wealthy. But bad habits? They often feel great in the moment. That's why it's so easy to choose the donut over the apple, or scrolling through social media over reading a book. We live in what James calls an immediate return environment. We want results now, not later. Now, you might be thinking, but what's the point of reading just one page? Here's the thing. The goal isn't to stay at one page forever. The goal is to master the habit of showing up. Once you've established the routine of reading every day, even if it's just one page, you'll naturally find yourself reading more. But first, you need to prove to yourself that you're the type of person who reads daily. I love how James puts it. A habit must be established before it can be improved. You want to standardize before you optimize. Make it automatic before you make it perfect. Another way to make habits easy is through what's called environment design. This is about reducing the friction for good habits and increasing the friction for bad habits. If you want to eat healthier, prep your vegetables right after grocery shopping so they're ready to grab. If you want to watch less TV, unplug it after each use so you have to make a conscious decision to plug it back in. You can also use technology to automate good habits. Set up automatic transfers to your savings account. Use apps that block distracting websites during work hours. Create calendar reminders for important tasks. The more you can automate, the less you have to rely on motivation and willpower. Law 4. Make it satisfying, the key to sticking with it. The fourth law is crucial because it addresses one of the biggest challenges with building good habits. Most of them don't feel immediately rewarding. When you eat a salad, you don't immediately feel healthier. When you exercise once, you don't immediately see results. When you save money, you don't immediately feel wealthy. But bad habits? They often feel great in the moment. That's why it's so easy to choose the donut over the apple, or scrolling through social media over reading a book. We live in what James calls an immediate return environment. We want results now, not later. So how do we make good habits satisfying? We need to add immediate rewards that align with the identity we're trying to build. If you're trying to become a reader, you might treat yourself to a nice bookmark or a cozy reading nook. If you're trying to become more organized, you might celebrate by organizing something fun, like your music playlist. One of the most powerful ways to make habits satisfying is through habit tracking. There's something incredibly satisfying about marking off a completed habit on your calendar or checking it off in an app. It provides immediate evidence that you're making progress toward your desired identity. But here's the key. Keep your tracking simple. Don't try to track 20 different habits with complex systems. Pick 1 or 2 habits that matter most and use the simplest tracking method possible. Often just putting an X on a calendar is perfect. Now, what happens when you mess up? Because you will mess up, we all do. James has a simple rule: never miss twice. If you miss your habit one day, that's fine, life happens. But make sure you get back on track the next day. Missing once is an accident. Missing twice is the beginning of a new, bad habit. Having an accountability partner can also make habits more satisfying. When someone else is watching and cheering you on, it adds a social reward to your habit. Plus, Knowing that someone is expecting you to follow through creates an immediate consequence for not doing the habit. Taking it to the next level from good to great. Once you've got the basics of habit formation down, you might start wondering, how do I keep improving? How do I go from just maintaining habits to actually excelling? James introduces something called the Goldilocks rule. Humans experience peak motivation when working on tasks that are right on the edge of their current abilities. Not too hard, which would be overwhelming. Not too easy, which would be boring. But just right, challenging enough to keep you engaged but achievable enough to keep you confident. This is why video games are so addictive. They're constantly adjusting the difficulty to keep you in that sweet spot where you're challenged but not frustrated. You can apply this same principle to your habits by gradually increasing the difficulty as you improve. Here's something that might surprise you. Successful people feel the same lack of motivation as everyone else. The difference is that they show up anyway. Professionals stick to their schedule whether they feel like it or not. Amateurs let life get in the way. The key to mastering any skill is learning to fall in love with boredom. It's being willing to do the work even when it's not exciting, even when you don't feel inspired, even when it's just another ordinary day. This is where the magic happens, in those moments when you choose to show up despite not feeling like it. As you get better at something, you also need to be careful not to let your habits become completely mindless. When behaviors become automatic, we can stop noticing small mistakes or miss opportunities for improvement. That's why James recommends regular reflection and review. Maybe a weekly check-in where you assess what's working, what isn't, and how you can adjust your approach. If this video touched your heart, show some love with a like. And if you want more soul-stirring stories like this, hit that subscribe button.